And welcome. Today we are talking about breathing easy with essential oils. My name is Staci Cahill, and I am so excited to be hosting this webinar for you guys today. As a lot of you have seen in my promotions leading up to this webinar, I have a lot of experience with supporting our body's natural respiratory system, using essential oils, diet, lifestyle choices. And today I wanted to share just some of the tips and the tricks that have transformed my family with you. I am super excited to be able to just take this to a new level on a different platform. So as this is a new platform with the Google Hangout, I hope that everything goes smoothly, but bear with me if there's a few little glitches here and there. But because I am checking this out new, I am going to not share my slides this time and just see how it goes. But I wanted to just welcome you all here. Muted, so as you hop into the room, just know that you can make comments in the chat box. I'd love to interact with you, but I want to make sure that I respect the time of those who have scheduled this into their day, and then we don't have a lot of extras. So I will answer questions when they come up, but the chat box is the perfect place to just put in there when you have something that you need me to address. I don't know about you, but I think that essential oils have become so mainstream. So many people know all about them. But just in case this is brand new information for you and those listening, I want to start from the very beginning. Most of us here have been invited because you're part of my doTERRA family, or you've been following me with my doTERRA world and using their essential oils. But the few of you that are hopping on that are brand new to this, let's just go back to the basics. First of all, in the chat box, I'd love to know what brought you here to the class today. I'd love to hear what it is that you are interested in learning more about. And feel free to share this video with those that you know that need a little bit of extra support for their respiratory issues. I can't wait to dive into this topic, but let's start with what is an essential oil. That's going to be basic information. And most of us know that essential oils are aromatic compounds. That means that they are something that we can smell. They are volatile, which means that they're going to do something. If you have an essential oil that is pure and natural, you can't help but open that bottle and notice a change or a shift in the environment, because that's what a volatile aromatic compound does. That's what an essential oil is. Oils are created equally. For me, I have chosen to use the doTERRA essential oils with my family simply because I have found the best results with them. I have used other essential oils in the past, and in fact, I used them before doTERRA was even around, which seems like a lifetime ago. But now I have been using exclusively doTERRA for the last 6 years, and it all started because of the Breathe oil, which I'm going to talk a lot about here in a little while. But the Breathe oil is one of doTERRA's blends, and it is cornerstone to helping support a healthy respiratory function. And that is the first oil that I tried with doTERRA. Just a little bit of background about me and how I got started here. I am a single mom, and I have an amazing little girl who, when she was very young, had some respiratory issues. And this was before I knew much about doTERRA. It was before I knew much about essential oils, other than, you know, using them to make my house smell good, or to add them to potpourri or sachets for my drawer, about other ways to use the essential oils. And she was in and out of the hospital with breathing issues. She spent about a week on life support at one point because her poor lungs just were not functioning the way that they should have been. And we spent a lot of time in and out of the doctor's office. We were constantly being monitored, and she was being checked daily to check her oxygen levels, just to make sure that she was doing all right. And it was at that time that our medical staff and I just kind of were beating our heads against a wall. We couldn't figure out what kept triggering all of her respiratory issues. And it was truly, I think, divine inspiration that brought us to some solutions that I'm not going to go into now, but it was just some definite changes in her diet that became huge cornerstone markers for her. Once we started making those shifts, we were able to take a little break from what had been her norm and introduce some more natural solutions. It was about that time where I first tried the doTERRA Breathe Oil. And it was a blend that someone had given me a sample of. And all we did was simply put a drop of the oil in the palm of our hand, rub hands together. And I would do that with my daughter. At the time, she was 3.5, 4 years old. And I would just hold my hands over her. And what a difference it made for my mama heart to be able to just snuggle my baby, hold her, and just have her inhaling out of my hands, rather than some of the previous things that we've done with some of the masks and the inhalers and the different treatments that I am so grateful for, because they kept her going. But having a new tool, a new way to embrace support was huge for us. I also found that I could take the Breathe Oil and I could just rub a little bit on my chest. And then when I was holding her and snuggling her or reading her a book, she was getting the benefit of breathing in that amazing essential oil blend simply by being close to mama. So that was the first oil that I tried from doTERRA. And that's just a little glimpse into our story. I would love to go into it more with anybody who has questions or wants to learn more. But that's where we got our start, was using those essential oils, using that Breathe Oil with her. Now from there, I learned so much about the essential oils. I took some classes. I became a certified holistic health coach and just kept learning and educating myself and going to anything that I could that was going to explain why these crazy essential oils were making such a dramatic difference in our lives. Now, oils are created the same. Essential oils that I had used prior to doTERRA, many of them had a good smell, but I didn't really notice any shift. I didn't notice anything changing, anything different. And that was one of the biggest changes I found with doTERRA, is when I started using the doTERRA oils, things happened. And simply, it's because they're pure. It's because they're not synthetics. So many essential oils now are created with synthetic materials, and they smell good and they replicate what the real oil is, but there's just no comparison. And that's what doTERRA has done. doTERRA has made a commitment to you and to me and to all of the world that they are going to provide the highest quality essential oils, unadulterated, nothing else added. And they have an extensive testing system that they implemented to be able to do this. If you'd like to learn more about it, I encourage you to go to doTERRA.com and just look into what CPTG is. That's the certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils that doTERRA produces. And with that guarantee of the CPTG, you know that pure oils sourced where they grow the best from all around the world, in an amazing way, with the testing that is done that nobody else compares to be able to provide these high quality oils. So now that we know what an essential oil is and why I chose doTERRA to use, let's get into the nitty gritty of help us. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare professional, which means I'm not going to talk about diseases, and I'm not going to talk about what to do when you're sick. I would rather, in those situations and circumstances, you go to your medical providers and you hear what they have to say. But what I will tell you is what I can do to help keep you well, what I can do to help you support your respiratory system in a very natural way. And let's understand a little bit of the basics first of how your respiratory system works. First of all, most of us, if you are having any sort of respiratory issues, you're going to notice one of three things are happening. Either your airways feel really heavy and constricted, and that is a tightening of the bronchial tubes, of your lungs, of the airways, of the whole system, just getting really tight and constricted. We also will notice, if we are having trouble breathing, that we have extra mucus that our body produces to be able to cough up or get rid of the junk that has accumulated in our lungs. So if you have extra mucus, if you feel that chest constriction, and the last thing that our lungs will do to let us know that something's not quite right, is they get they'll swell, they'll get a little bit fat. There's a little bit of inflammation in there. And that is, again, the body's natural response to trying to get out whatever is irritating our lungs. Now, that's important to understand at a very basic level, because being able to pinpoint what is happening with your respiratory system is going to allow you to choose the essential oils that are best for you at that time. I mentioned, first of all, the Breathe oil. And the Breathe oil is one of doTERRA's 10 most popular oils. It's available in almost every one of their collections that you can get started with. But it is an amazing oil standalone all by itself that has a blend of eucalyptus, peppermint, cardamom, ravensara, laurel leaf. It's just a beautiful blend. Most of us open the bottle and you can smell what seems very familiar. It's kind of got that mentholatum type smell. And that's really comes back to, I think, the eucalyptus is what we're smelling. And that's just, most of us have smelt that in some product or another. But the Breathe oil is all natural. There are no synthetics in it. There's nothing fake in there that you have to worry about hurting your body. So the way that I will use the Breathe oil, first of all, is put it in a diffuser. Now, doTERRA has a few different diffusers and I love them all. I will say, when it comes to respiratory support, I tend to use my Aroma Ace diffuser. It's a diffuser that looks like a robot almost, where you screw the essential oil bottle directly onto it. You can set it to say how long you want it to run for and how long you want it to take a break in between running. And that one is one that for years I would have in my daughter's bedroom, and it would diffuse all night long. It would be on for about 5 minutes and then it would go off for 20 minutes with a very, very fine mist. That just was a continuous support of that Breathe oil going into her room while she was sleeping to support her all night long. On that, we were able to spread out how often she needed extra support for her lungs during the day. So that's the Aroma Ace diffuser. It is still one of my favorite diffusers when you have something that is going to be an ongoing, consistent day in, day out that you just want to have all over your home, or, you know, for a specific health goal that you're working on. Now, beyond that, there's a lot of other diffusers that are available that are water-based diffusers. Water to the fill line, and you add 3 to 4 drops of your essential oil, and then you can turn that on and it does a steady mist to fill the room. Now, depending on what I'm doing will depend on which diffuser I use nowadays. Now we don't need to have that constant support every night, but the Breathe oil was the first one that we would do that with. The other thing that I would do with the Breathe oil in particular is rub the bottom of her feet, or I would put a little bit on her chest or her back. Now, let's talk a little bit about essential oil safety. First of all, know that everybody's body is slightly differently put together. So what I can do for my body, some people may have more sensitive skin and it doesn't necessarily work the same way. I tend to dilute most of the oils that I use simply because it helps them to last a little bit longer. And it also protects the skin if you have sensitive skin. And for me, I prefer to use the fractionated coconut oil. It has a much thinner molecular structure, so it doesn't feel greasy on my skin, and it allows the essential oils to be fully absorbed into my skin. So what that means is I'll put 1 to 2 drops of the essential oil in my hand, and a little bit of coconut oil depending on where I'm doing it, probably about a half a teaspoon. Rub that together, and then I can massage that onto chest or back or feet, and use the oil topically. So we've used the oil aromatically and we've used Breathe topically. Now, Breathe is not an oil that I would ever recommend using internally. In fact, doTERRA is so great on their bottles. They let you know right away. If it has a food supplement label on it, you know that it's a safe oil to use internally, but Breathe oil is not one of those oils. And it's kind of common sense for most of them. There's some tree parts in the Breathe oil. And I don't know about you, but I don't tend to go around eating trees. Now, when it comes to some of the floral oils or the herb oils like thyme or oregano or lavender, those are all things that I can eat in the plant form. So they are naturally oils that are safe to be ingested. And again, what I'm talking about are strictly the doTERRA oils. I don't know enough about the other brands to know if they would be safe or not. And personally, I stick with the doTERRA because I trust that testing that they do. So the Breathe oil is the go-to for respiratory support. It's the one that I would always recommend starting with because it's so multifaceted, multi-purpose that it is going to be amazing for everybody. And whether it's a triggered response that your respiratory needs a little bit of extra support with, or whether it's because you're fighting off a little bug or something's going on, it's just going to give your body that boost to open up your airways, to help break down the mucus that may be accumulating in your lungs, and just to be able to relax those muscles that have become constrained. Now, the great part about using essential oils is that there are so many options. Now, I don't have time today to talk about every single oil that could help with respiratory function, but I am going to talk about some of my favorites. So we're going to break this down first by the different triggers. Like I said, if you are noticing that you have a lot of gunk building up in your chest, let's figure out first how to break that down and get that out. And my go-to oils for that, first of all, would be the ginger oil. Ginger is a great oil to break down stuff. This is one that can be a little bit hotter, so I definitely would dilute that one if you're going to apply it topically. But ginger is also an oil that is safe for internal use. So you could make a ginger tea simply by having some hot or warm water, or if you like milk or a coconut milk, you could steam your milk, put a drop of ginger in it. My favorite would be a little bit of apple juice or some good herbal tea, putting a little bit of ginger in that and being able to drink that. One, as you're drinking it, you're getting the steam, and that is just great. It helps to go in and break stuff down, but it also helps to work from the inside out. It also is a great oil that, like I said, topically, again, put it right on your chest, and that's going to help to break down the gunk so you can cough that up. A couple of other oils that are similar in the way that you would use them and similar in the way that they work as far as breaking stuff down would be lime oil. Lime is a natural degreaser. So if you've got gunk that you want to get out, whether it's in your lungs, whether it's in your digestive tract, or whether it's cleaning your dishes, lime oil is going to be a powerful degreaser and degunker. So you can use that oil just like we did with the ginger, either use it in a beverage that you're drinking or apply it topically. And of course, you can always use the oils in the diffuser to help breathe those in and to break down that gunk. A couple other oils that I find incredibly powerful as degreasers or degunkers for the extra mucus would be eucalyptus. And eucalyptus is one that I would not use it internally, topically in diffusing it. And my other favorite way to use the eucalyptus oil is in a hot shower. If you just turn the shower on when it's warm and you're ready to step in, put a drop or two of eucalyptus oil right on the bottom of the shower, and you're going to be able to get that steam right there in the shower. My daughter will do this often still. You know, now she'll ask all the time, one of her first line of defense is when she's feeling like she can't breathe super well, she'll ask if she can take a eucalyptus shower. And I know that I'm probably going to lose her for about a half an hour because she'll go in, she'll run the shower until she runs out of hot water, and then just stay in the bathroom with the doors shut and just breathing in all that steam. And it's so refreshing and helps her to fill up her airways in a much bigger way than she was previously able to. Now, cardamom is another oil that is a great one to help break things down. So cardamom, I would use the same way as the eucalyptus. That is one that you could use internally as well. Now, moving on to the next part of how we would use our essential oils, or the trigger, maybe for that the constriction, the muscle tightness that leads to some of the respiratory issues. Marjoram. Marjoram in my world is for muscles. It's going to help to relax muscles. It's going to help to make them do what they're supposed to do. So marjoram is a great one to diffuse or to use topically. I don't necessarily recommend making tea with that one simply by taste. I don't think it tastes super great, although you totally could. Another one that is an amazing oil to help relax those muscles is lavender. Many of us think of lavender as calming and soothing and sleep. which it's great for all of those things. But it is also a powerhouse oil to use at relaxing muscles. So applying a little bit of lavender or marjoram topically is going to be a great way to support those opening of the airways and the relaxing of the muscles. The last way that we talk about using the essential oils is for that occasional inflammation that comes when your lungs are irritated. Now, if it's an ongoing issue, definitely talk to your doctor and find out some other solutions for you. But some of the things that we know about using the essential oils is that they can help to relax and they can help to bring down some of that. Lavender, again, is a great oil for that. Marjoram, frankincense. Frankincense is amazing when it comes to reducing some of that occasional swelling. So I would apply that just topically, or put it in the diffuser so you're breathing it in constantly. Frankincense is another one that I actually do use internally, and I'll just put a drop under my tongue. My daughter does the same thing. She loves to do a drop under her tongue every day just to help support her body every day all around. There are so many different oils that we can use for respiratory support that, you know, I don't have time to get into all of them today, but just to name a few. Roman chamomile, again, it's a calming, soothing oil. It's going to help calm and soothe those tight muscles. Arborvitae is a powerhouse oil, and I will use that one often in the diffuser with eucalyptus. Again, helps to support those natural airways and opening them up. And peppermint. Peppermint is an oil that helps to oxygenate. It helps to open up and just create a better airflow. So using that in a diffuser or using that topically, again, putting a drop of peppermint in the palm of your hand and just inhaling it, opening up all of your airways. So there are so many different ways that you can use the oils, so many different oils that you can choose. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet today, and I won't get into the list of all the others. But if you would like to know more about which essential oils are great for respiratory support, I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and check me out on Facebook. It's Essential Wholeness, the number 4 and the letter U.com. You can find me on Facebook. I have a page there that I like to share tips with people on. I also do short videos on each individual oil, and I'll start getting those here into YouTube so you can follow me there. But in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out. If you have a question, if you want to know more about using the essential oils to support your respiratory system, please don't hesitate. Reach out, ask me a question. I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit more about that. The final couple things that I wanted to add to talking about respiratory support, one is my favorite diffuser recipe, which is 2 drops of frankincense, 2 drops of eucalyptus, and 2 drops of cardamom in a diffuser. It kind of targets, like we talked about, that all 3 components of what can be triggering when your respiratory system is calling for help. All of those oils support those things, so that's a great one. Also keep in mind that just practicing your breathing is going to strengthen your lungs. It's going to support your lungs in an everyday way. So some of the breathing exercises that I have found incredibly helpful to teach my daughter, I don't even know what we call it, but we do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that is, we'll take 5 deep breaths in and out, and then 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. And that helps her to control the length of her breath. Once she has gotten that down, the next thing that we've done to increase breathing is to inhale for the count of 5, exhale for the count of 5, and then work your way down to 1, and then back up to 5. All of these different things help to strengthen your lungs, because remember, your lungs are a muscle. They need to expand and they need to be worked. And as you're redeveloping, strengthening your respiratory system, there's a lot of different tips that we can use to utilize how the body is supposed to work. So that's one of the other things that I find incredibly helpful. And then also just be aware of your environmental triggers. Some people, they have pretty strong, hardy systems and nothing much bothers them. Other people, like my daughter, are very, very sensitive to synthetic fragrances, to toxins in the air. So we have to be really cautious about not bringing in outside scents into the home. We don't have candles. We are not allowed to do any synthetic fragrances, perfumes, even our hand soaps and body washes. And we get through doTERRA because we know that they're going to have a fragrance that we like, but it's also going to not bring in contaminants into the air that that make it hard for her to breathe. So take the time to learn your body and learn what kind of things trigger your body and what kind of environment is best for you. And the last piece, and I alluded to this just a little bit at the beginning, is something that I'm really passionate about, and that is to watch your diet. Everybody has different things that their body will tolerate. So what we have found works best for us may or may not be the best for you. But I highly recommend anybody who is really struggling with getting control of the respiratory system to look at a book called Fed Up with Asthma. Sorry, I had a moment of clarity there. Fed Up with Asthma by Sue Dengate. There's also a website that she puts on, and it talks all about the correlation between food additives and preservatives and food dyes and how that affects your respiratory system. It was not something that I initially thought of, but it became a critical piece of helping my daughter get stronger, because she found that the diet made a huge difference for her. So those are just a few things that I can offer and add. I hope that from that you take away a little piece of wisdom that's going to help support your respiratory system. Stay tuned. I will redo this webinar with more detail as I get more familiar with the platform. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for taking a look at the Breathe Easy with Essential Oils webinar. I'm so excited to share this story with you and to get to know you better and to partner with you on your journey to wellness. Have a great afternoon.